Welcome to Conversations with Claudia. Today my guest is Gloria Feldt. Gloria is a leading activist, the former CEO and president of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, as well as the best-selling author of 4 books, and her most recent publication is No Excuses, 9 Ways How Women Can Change the Way We Think About Power. And let me see if I can get the rest of it right. Tools for Leading an Unlimited Life. Longest title, but I love the title. It's so powerful. Gloria, it's such an honor to have you here with us today. I wanted to start with your journey. How did it all start?
It was certainly not planned, if I can use a little bit of a pun there. I grew up in small towns in Texas, and it was the 1950s. I wasn't, as a woman, given much by way of, shall we say, aspirations for my life. And so I became pregnant at 15, and that was not that abnormal then to get married, have babies very, very early. Married my high school sweetheart. I love my children dearly. I had 3 by the time I was 20, but then I woke up. I woke up and somehow I realized, you know what, I have a brain too. And there's a lot going on in this world that I want to be part of. So I started to college at that point, and although it took me 12 years, I did eventually finish my degree. I became involved in the civil rights movement, and then I had another little epiphany, which was, you know, if there are civil rights, there are women's rights too. And so I became very, very cognizant of that and became involved in women's rights and women's causes and children's causes in particular. I taught at Head Start for 5 years. And then by a very serendipitous situation, I was offered a position as the executive director of a very small new Planned Parenthood affiliate in West Texas.
I can imagine even just being married and the expectations that your husband would have of you, as you're, working and, having dinner ready on the table and taking care of the children, all those things. It's amazing. Wow, so 3 kids before 20 with the mission of Planned Parenthood and sexual reproduction rights and that whole topic. What was the connection there?
Well, I think there were probably 3 things simultaneously. One was that I was very cognizant that it was the birth control pill that allowed me to have a life, and that if I had not been able to manage my own fertility, then I wouldn't have been able to planfully say, I'm going to start to college and then I want to have a career. And it would have just been utterly impossible. If you can't control your own fertility, you cannot have control over anything else in your life. It's the most basic fundamental right that a woman needs to have. The other was, though, just that I understood the difficulties of being a mom when you were so young. I mean, I was capable of taking care of the children physically, but I certainly would have been a better mother if I had been 10 years older when I had children. I didn't have the emotional maturity. And then the third thing is that I began to really see the connection between simply being able to control your fertility and having the power to make many other decisions in life. And so it all worked together.
So when you first took on that leadership role, that was your first real leadership role, championing a very important issue. Was it intimidating?
Oh, very much so. I literally broke out in hives every day for about a month. I had no idea what I was doing at the beginning. And my predecessor had really left me no information. And I just plunged in and did it. One of the things I learned was that if you use your courage muscles, they grow.
I love that. It's your personal experiences. You experienced as a woman, as a teenager in your 20s, what birth control meant for you and how it enabled you to basically have power and to pursue a career. I think that you probably brought something to that leadership role that not many people could.
Enormous passion.
Yeah.
And to this day, when people say, oh, wasn't it great? You met all these powerful people. You went to the White House. You did, this, you did that. And to this day, I will tell you that the thing that gives me the most pleasure is someone says to me, you saved my life. And I know exactly what she means.
And makes all of that work so fulfilling and worth it. It's easy to look at somebody's resume and think, oh, this person's perfect, and they just sort of did this so easily, and it was just such a smooth ride, and it's really never like that.
And we live a fairly long life if we're lucky. And so to do something that you do feel passionate about lets you have a much happier life along the way too.
Absolutely. So then somebody knocks on the door again, and there's an opening in New York City for this national position to be the CEO and president of the entire organization.
I had been recruited about 3 or 4 years before I finally took the job. And I had been in Arizona for 18 years. I had been doing the work in Texas for 4 years before that. So that was 22 years already. And I had in my mind that I was ready to leave Planned Parenthood, and I wanted to start writing books then. And I was also considering running for political office at the time. And when I was recruited for the National Planned Parenthood position, something felt right. You have to trust your gut.
What would you say you learned about leadership and great qualities of leadership, or characteristics that define great leadership?
For me, first of all, I have a very low-tech definition of leadership. And it is that a leader is somebody who gets something done. And we make choices about at what level and how much responsibility we want to take on. And obviously, to be a CEO, you have to be willing to take on a huge amount of responsibility. The buck does stop with you, no matter what. Absolutely. But I believe everyone in an organization is, to some extent or another, a leader. And so that philosophy has always guided me along. But to me, the most important leadership values are honesty and courage. And if you have those two values and you stick with them, you can make everything else work out okay. Yeah. Even when you don't get things the way you want them, it ultimately works out better.
What are the most important values that you live by today?
At this point in my life, I want to be able to leave some kind of legacy. What I value a lot is having a chance to mentor and sponsor when I get a chance. I don't know if you've seen the latest study from Catalyst that says that mentoring is very important, but what women really need at this point is sponsors who will actually help promote them on up. And so I try to do everything I can to make that phone call, help that younger woman move into whatever it is that she wants to do. What I found is that women have a very ambivalent relationship with power. It is hard to change a culture while you're living in it, is what I discovered. And as women, we still have in our minds what is now an antiquated definition of power. It's a very hierarchical, patriarchal definition that implies somebody has the power over you. You know, like, I can make you do something.
Right.
And that is, it's oppressive. It's really oppressive, and women have borne the brunt of the negative aspects of that. Discrimination, actual physical abuse. I mean, there are good reasons to resist power. But the truth is that when I talk to women and we change how we think about it to a definition of power that is the power to, that women will say, oh, I want that kind.
That empowers them.
Yes, I can make life better. If I have the power to, then I can make life better for my family, my community, my world. Power to is where innovation comes from, and power to is really leadership. This is Women's Moment. Look, McKinsey & Company has looked at corporations all over the world. Those that have greater numbers of women on their top management teams and on their boards make more money. The World Bank has studied parliaments around the world, and they find that those with a higher percentage of women in their parliaments make better decisions. They have a better decision-making process. I mean, the world is looking at women right now and saying, this is your moment. And so that means we have to seize it. We need to seize it. It's easy, I think, for young women to believe that all the barriers have been removed. And that there are no, because you've seen a woman first almost everything. And that's the good part.
We're making progress. It's slow, but it's happening.
A lot of progress, and all things are possible now. But what I see happening to young women as they move into the professional world is that they are the ones who get faced with the decisions about when to have children, whether to have children, how that's going to play into it. Nobody expects men to derail their careers when they have children, for goodness sakes. But we still haven't gotten beyond that for women. So I think
we have to make the sacrifice.
So I think young women and young men have got to get together at this point and change the workplace.
Back to the book. 9 steps. Can you give us some of your favorites?
I guess I would say that the one that I find most fun is embrace controversy. Controversy means, again, courage, having the courage to actually put the issues out on the table, and that if something is controversial, it means it's important to other people, that they're paying attention to you. So it's a tool you can use. If something you've said at work stimulates some controversy, that's your opportunity. People are listening. You can use it as a platform to actually explain why you think this is the best decision. Yeah. And they're listening to you. One that captures other people a lot. The reason most of us are hired for whatever job we're doing is because somebody thought we could actually manage that chaos.
Eliminate it.
Yeah, right. And so the thing about chaos is that it sort of discombobulates things enough that people become open to new ways of doing things. Most of the innovation in this world has come from times of chaos.
To solve a problem.
Right, or situations of chaos. And so if you once you can realize that, it can actually help you thrive, particularly I think in a career sense.
And it challenges you too. You get the experience of handling something that's not easy and learning, and you teach yourself how to navigate it. You get through it.
Well, another one of the power tools that people always ask about and really like, so I want to share it with you, is wear the shirt. It comes from a situation where when I was in Arizona and one of my clinics was in a very small, very conservative rural town. It was a small clinic and there were only 3 staff members. I was visiting with them one day and one of the young women said to me, you know, every day before I go home, I have to decide whether I'm going to keep on the Planned Parenthood shirt that I wear when I work, or whether I'm going to take it off, because when I'm stopping at the grocery store, do I really want to have to talk to the woman at the checkout counter? And I thought to myself, you know, that's actually the most important time to wear the shirt. And so a metaphor for me became wear the shirt. If you believe in something, don't be afraid to let other people know about it. You might not always wear a slogan on your shirt to work, but don't be afraid to let other people know what you think, because most of the time they have belief systems too and they want to be able to talk about it. Everybody's a little afraid. And frankly, I don't think a democracy can survive unless we all get better at being willing to say, this is what I believe, and to listen to other people and their beliefs. So wear the shirt.
Yeah,
wear the shirt of your convictions.
Where the shirt really stands for, you know, if you're going to believe in something, share it and spread it, and don't be sort of self-conscious about it. Sheryl Sandberg talks about raising your hand and just speaking out. Women were brought up to be elegant and sophisticated, and everybody's judging us on how we look and our personality and how we come across.
We're also still socialized, even though girls are now told you can be anything you want to be and do anything you want to do. Girls are still also socialized to think first of how other people feel when they do whatever they do. And boys could benefit by learning some of that. And then girls need to learn more of the kind of what I call intentionality that boys grow up with. Just knowing the world is their oyster and that they have every right to go and do what they want to do, and they don't have to please other people all the time. Yeah. I mean, seriously, one of the things I have learned is that nobody loves you more because you have sacrificed yourself for them.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Right.
So you need to have the integrity of your own purpose in life. There's plenty of mess in this world right now. Women are pretty good at cleaning up messes. And so I think this is really our time to shine, to do it,
and not put ourselves last.
Not put ourselves last.
Feminism is a huge word that you don't hear very much anymore. Is it because there's a negative connotation to it? Is it considered anti-male? I mean, how come what happened to it?
So it's no longer a progressive versus liberal or versus conservative thing. It's everybody now feminism has so permeated the culture that partly you don't hear about it because it has won.
Right.
But it did what most movements do. Most movements win just enough that people think it's all done. And yet the truth is, as we've been discussing, when women are still less than 20% of the leadership roles in business and in politics, clearly we're not done. So there's a lot of work yet to be done. It's more complicated, I think, because people think the work is done.
What's your advice to young women today that are entering the nonprofit sector?
Well, running a nonprofit is kind of like what Ann Richards used to say about Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, that Ginger did everything Fred did, but she did it backwards and in high heels. And when you're running a nonprofit, you have to have all the business skills of a for-profit business, but you are under much more scrutiny. So you have to be really, really good at it. And you're also doing it with many fewer resources.
That's tough.
It's tough. It's tough.
Really
So you
hard.
have to know that.
Yeah.
You have to know that going in. But again, you know, I think for each person, it's a decision about where is your passion. And I think many people may decide that their passion is to go become the CEO of Hearst, for example, for her, and then you'll have a lot of money that you can give to the philanthropies that you care about. So there are lots of different ways that you can do it, or serve on boards, or volunteer your time. But I think all of us do have that need, and it should be encouraged, to reach out to other people and find a way to contribute their skills to other people in some way. And I think the happiest people are people who have found something like that they can do, whether it's as a volunteer or actually as their job.
Gloria, thank you so much for being here with me today for a conversation with Claudia.
Claudia, it was really my pleasure, and I wish you the greatest of success in what you're doing.
We're definitely going to hang out a lot
You
more.
bet.
I want to be on the show that you're doing.